The Monday Night Football game in NFL Week 11 is rife with storylines. Dan Quinn faces his former team, the Seattle Seahawks are seeking revenge after losing in the Divisional round, and the Atlanta Falcons are looking to keep pace in the NFC South. Whatever your angle, the best reason to watch this game is because it should definitely be better than last week's Miami vs. Carolina Monday Night Football. The Seahawks are 3-point favorites at home for this game, and given the home field advantage with the 12th man on a Monday night, this line correctly suggests that Atlanta should be favored on a neutral field. The Atlanta Falcons are 5-4 straight up, but just 3-6 against the spread on their Super Bowl 51 revenge tour. The Falcons have really disappointed a lot of folks so far this season, but they're still in the thick of the NFC playoff hunt. The Falcons won this past Sunday over the Cowboys, but it wasn't the type of win that inspires confidence. For the 8th time in 9 games, the Falcons failed to gain more than 400 yards. Atlanta had more than 400 yards in 10 of its 19 games last season. Matt Ryan just is not the same guy with offensive coordinator Steve Sarkisian. Ryan only has a 13-8 touchdown interception ratio with a 66.6% completion rate. The big plays are not there and the red zone efficiency has been lacking. Atlanta has 4.5 yards per carry to help out Ryan, but this is a team that needs to find more opportunities in the passing game. Julio Jones has only hauled in 49 of his 76 targets and only has 1 touchdown. The Falcons only have 20 offensive touchdowns this season. They had 58 last season. Atlanta is still among the NFL leaders in moving the ball with 6.1 yards per play. But settling for 3 or turning the ball over in the red zone has played a big part as to why the team is 9th in yards and 17th in points. The Falcons scored a touchdown on 64.6% of red zone trips last year, and this season, that percentage is just 54.8%. Defensively, Atlanta has played well. We expect Dan Quinn to have a big impact on that side of the ball, and it has happened. The Falcons have only allowed 5 yards per play this season and have done a really good job on limiting big passing plays. Opponents have completed 64.1% of their passes, but only have 10.1 yards per catch on this Falcons defense. Keanu Neal and Deion Jones are 2 of the best under 25 defenders in the NFL, and Quinn is building his own version of the Legion of Boom with this influx of young talent. The Falcons have worked over some lackluster offensive lines this season, including last week with 8 sacks of Dak Prescott. Russell Wilson will have to be quick in the pocket to avoid the pass rushers. The Seattle Seahawks are 6-3 straight up and 3-5-1 against the spread after last week's push against Arizona. Extra rest has been a good betting angle coming out of Thursday night, but this is a Seattle team with a lot of problems. Russell Wilson is the captain that keeps this ship afloat, with an offensive line that hasn't been much help and a defense that has been slowly regressing. Wilson has a 19-6 touchdown interception ratio with a 62.7% completion rate. Seattle's rushing attack would be among the worst in the NFL without Wilson's 5.7 yards per carry as the team's leading rusher. He still has some very good receiving options in Doug Baldwin, Jimmy Graham, and Paul Richardson, assuming he has time to find them. Another problem for Seattle has been inconsistency. The Seahawks have 5 games with at least 425 yards and 4 games with fewer than 315 yards. Strangely, they're only 3-2 in the games with at least 425 yards and 3-1 in the games with fewer than 315 yards. Injuries have really limited the depth of this offensive line as well. The defense is not immune to the injury bug either. Cam Chancellor's been banged up for most of the season. Earl Thomas was out last week. Richard Sherman's season is over with a torn Achilles. The IR list is getting long and the questionable list is basically just as long, including Frank Clark and Shaquille Griffin. The Seahawks are still holding the opposition to just 5 yards per play and have 15 takeaways. But the longer the season goes on, with this many players injured, the more we have to worry about the Seattle defense. The Seahawks are still 3rd in opponents' completion percentage and 10th in adjusted net yards per pass attempt through it all, so the defense is still playing at a pretty high level. There are not a whole lot of good edges to be gained in this game. The line seems pretty accurate, but we'll give a slight nod to the Seattle Seahawks with the extra prep time to get some defensive guys back. The Falcons just are not as efficient as they need to be offensively. This looks like a frustrating game for totals players as well, as we could see a lot of yards, but both teams have some red zone issues. Our pick and prediction will be for the Seattle Seahawks at -3. For our pick and prediction on this game and every other game this week, and a wealth of free stats and information, check out bangthebook.com.